Hi everyone, my name's Paul. Welcome back to Plan Your Patch. So today what we'll be talking about is whether you can use a regular heating mat to grow your seedlings, and we'll also go through a few tips. So there are a lot of heated seed trays that are available in the market, and I'll put one in the link below where you can go and check it out from Amazon if you're interested. But if you're one of those people that already does something like homebrew or has a heating pad for a pet or something like that, and you have it lying around, you're kind of wondering, okay, can I use it for growing seedlings? What we're going to do in this video is actually conduct an experiment over a few weeks to see just how effective some of these heating the seeds are, and whether you can actually use a standard heat mat. So what I've got here is, this is a heat mat I use for home brewing periodically, and so it's, you can see where the wires would run underneath, and this probably gets to, I'm not sure what temperature, probably, what's it, 25 degrees, what's that in Fahrenheit, I'm not sure. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll put a range of seedlings in. So I'm going to run one seed tray, exactly the same mixture, all of that sort of same conditions, one with a heat mat underneath and one without. Okay, so in midwinter, in terms of the seedlings that you want to get going, they're usually the ones that take the longest and you really value once you get the produce. Stuff that for me, they're things like tomatoes, cucumbers and zucchinis, and I'd like to get them as early as possible. So what I want to do is I want to focus my space, the space that I have on the of this limited space I have here, on the things that really matter the most. So for other things like pumpkins, I'm not so fussed about because I have lots of pumpkins in the stored, and I'm not in a rush to get the harvest. Okay, so in terms of the ones we're going to actually grow, when I'm growing tomatoes, I normally like to grow a few different varieties. So my absolute favourite is one called Tigella. It's not a really common one, and it's a medium-sized one that kind of has like a tiger stripe on it. They're quite sweet, and they're one of the most prolific ones. So they were, I think, pretty much the highest yielder in a trial that was done by it was Diggers in Australia, who's a gardening sort of seed company. Now, in terms of so we've got those sort of varieties, and I usually like to have a couple of different medium size. So I've got a Roma here, and I've got a cherry, a red cherry, I've got a yellow cherry, and in terms of the cucumbers, what I'll be planting is, I've got two types, just a standard Lebanese cucumber, and then I've also got a crystal apple cucumber, which is one of those round ones. Now, if you want a good place to buy seeds and you live in the States, the place I'd recommend is Seeds Now. I'll leave a link in the below, but that's a really cheap place to get it. Anyway, in terms of the planting, the main thing that is a good idea is when you fill your seed tray, which a lot of people don't do, is you should be firming down the soil into the sorry, that's our washing machine going. Firming the soil down into the cells, so and then refilling it so that they create tight plugs. And the reason for that is because when you come to replant the seedlings, you don't need to disturb the roots. You can just take it out and the whole plug will come out, which is advantageous. Now, in terms of the number of seeds, for tomatoes I tend to plant maybe about 3 seedlings per cell, and that usually means I end up with 3, and I'll usually pick out 2 and pop them on. For those ones where you have more than what you need in your heated area, they're worth keeping, because with something like tomatoes, really all you want is to bring the harvest forward for at least just a couple of plants. In terms of cucumbers, what I tend to do is I tend to plant only 2 per cell, and because they're bigger seeds, I usually put them at a depth of around 1/2 inch. The third one we're going to grow is zucchinis. It's a variety called Blackjack. Now with zucchinis, I usually put 2 per cell, and I only plant up maybe about 4 cells, and that's because really, unless you love zucchinis, or you've got a huge family, 3 plants is probably all you need. So if you maybe have 2 in each, and then basically you can thin them out, you'll end up with more than what you need, and hopefully you end up with just all you really need is 3 seedlings, and that will normally be enough to produce just heaps and heaps and heaps. Okay, so we have now planted all the seeds and we have them all labelled up, ready to go, and I have 2 trays, one I've got behind me at the moment. And just to show you exactly what I'm doing is that with both of these trays, one of the advantages of having a tray with a humidity dome is that with the seeds sitting inside a seed tray that can hold water, it means you basically don't have to water the seedlings all the way through. You just need to add enough water into the bottom of the tray, maybe about that much, just enough so the soil is touching, and that will be enough to water this for the capillary action to actually water the plants from below, rather than watering from top and disturbing the seed. So once I have them in position, then all I need to do, I can get this tray, it's got a little bit of water in it, all I need to do is pop the tray on and basically we're ready to go. I'm going to pop the tray over there with the other one, and I'm going to put one of them, I'm going to put the heating mat underneath, and the other one I'm not, and we'll see how we go in a couple of weeks. Okay, so we're now back with our 2 propagation trays, one of which has been heated with the seed tray, the tray here. So this is 2 weeks later, and one that has just been sitting in the room. Okay, so, and I got some, what I thought were quite surprising results for me. So this is the seedlings that we got when we, oops-a-daisy, when we applied heat, which aren't great, great to be honest. And then we got the ones where I didn't heat them. I'll pop that out of the way for a second. Okay, and you can see that these ones look pretty healthy, pretty good. So the reason why I think this is like that, these are looking so leggy, is that these seedlings have simply grown too fast. So with this particular heat pad, when it's on, it's almost a little too hot to touch. So I would suggest that the temperature that is being produced is close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 40 degrees. And I think that's just simply too hot for seedlings. So what I think has happened, because these germinated within 24 hours, some of the seedlings here, but then if we look at growth like this is really not what you want. I mean, you can still use them, of course, but they're certainly not ideal. And if you have a look at the tomato seedlings, and not everything here is germinated at this point, but you can see that even the size of the leaves on the tomato seedlings, comparing the two, these look infinitely healthier. So when you're thinking about using a heated seed tray, really what you're looking for ideally is something that's going to produce a temperature around about that sort of mid-80s Fahrenheit degree temperature range. Any hotter than that, and you do start to get these sort of effects, and you can see the soil is also a little more dried out. Now, if you do have something like this, what you can do is you can put a towel between it. So have a towel on top, and then put the seed tray on top of that, and you'll still be able to use it. And obviously, if you're living in a region that's really cold, then obviously, you're obviously going to want to have some heat involved. So basically what this little experiment is telling me is you need to do some modification depending on the particular unit you have. Either that, or as mentioned earlier, you can buy specific heated seed trays and they'll do the job just fine. So I hope you found this experiment useful. A little bit unexpected in some respects, but it does tell you that you don't want it to be too hot. You really want it to be in that sort of mid-80s range to get nice progressive seed growth. So these are well on their way to being ready in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll just keep going them. And I think what we're going to do with these ones is scrap them, start again, and yeah, so I hope you found that useful. If you liked what you saw, click subscribe and visit our website at plantingpatch.com. Other than that, have a great day. Cheers.